Barbados' economic stability, a term that is often bandied about but rarely thought of on an individual level. It's time to change that. Our economic stability depends on you and me. I'm Katrina Marshall, and on this week's edition of Foreign Exchange, the lifeblood of our economy, we ask, how can the individual contribute to economic stability? Let's look at economics on an individual level. Consider the following choices: new vehicle or second-hand vehicle, overseas holiday or staycation, instant gratification or long-term investment. Well, if you chose a pre-owned vehicle, a staycation, and a long-term investment in your child's education, you're on the right track to creating economic stability.
70% of what we spend on a daily basis goes towards the purchase of imports. Which means, of course, that 70 cents of every dollar that we spend every day goes towards purchasing imported goods. That's the message that we should portray. Whether it's medicines for old people, gear for young people, food for everybody, everything that we want calls for an outlay of foreign exchange. Because we produce so little at home, we buy so much from abroad. So we must use foreign exchange for everything that we consume.
You mentioned young people and gear. Young people can be hard to convince. What can you say about their individual responsibility? Make the connection.
Well, the fellows in black want sneakers, Nike sneakers. They want iPads. They want cell phones. And guess what? Nike sneakers, iPads, and cell phones all require the use of foreign exchange. Because we can't use Barbados dollars to buy those things. You must use either US dollars, British pounds, Japanese yen, some quote-unquote hard currency, right? So the things the fellows in the blocks need require foreign exchange.
Let's talk about a family. I don't know, an average family of 4. How can they change their spending patterns or the routines, their average routine, to be more, as you say, foreign exchange friendly? If
you have a car, there's no need to exchange that car or change that car every 3 or 4 years. You know that our energy bill is very high, and imported energy is about 1/3 of our total energy bill. So we want families to conserve electricity, water, to be very frugal in the way that they use transport and so on, because all those things impact on energy, and energy is a very important part, a very important component of our energy imports. Any further advice for those who might be thinking, well, this is what I enjoy. Why shouldn't I change my car every 3 years? It's the way I enjoy the money I earn. No, you see, you got to think past what you enjoy and think in terms of the national good. I think that a car should last as long as possible. Any consumer item should be made to last as long as possible. And in making these consumer choices, you should think past your own personal condition and think in terms of the national good. Don't big companies, or so-called the firm, have a role to play in this as well? The firm that you're talking about is just a collection of individuals. So what we have said about the individual is applicable to the firm. Wherever possible, buy higher quality articles which will have a longer shelf life, a longer life with the consumer. But I mean, to the extent that that is possible, because that is not always possible. Okay, now it is often said that there are 2 things you cannot escape: death and taxes. People, however, do try to get around paying their taxes every now and again. Does this impact on our foreign exchange at all? Of course it does, Katrina. Of course it does. Income tax, VAT, road taxes, driver's licenses, because when they pay their liabilities, they are giving government revenue, and to the extent that government gets revenue and it keeps its deficit down, it does not have to resort to foreign borrowing. Because when it resorts to foreign borrowing, that foreign borrowing has to be paid in, you know what? Foreign exchange. I would suggest that people who have a little to put away can put that little away in government securities. Ever so often, government issues bonds, debentures, and treasury notes, which are ways in which government tries to get revenue to run the operations. People often think that when there is something that does not work, that belongs to the public, it is the government's job to fix it. That even that
and the ability for a government to repair those damages maliciously caused impact on our foreign exchange.
People that we should protect and respect government property. When people vandalize transport board buses, when people break seats in transport board buses, when people destroy public toilets in bus terminals and so on, government has to repair these things. We don't make buses here. We don't make toilet seats here. That means that government has to import these things, and of course, you know the answer. Using
foreign exchange. Thanks for joining us, and remember to make the most economically sustainable choice for your personal finances and ultimately your country. I'm Katrina Marshall. Join us again next week for Foreign Exchange, the lifeblood of our economy.